It's that art teacher that you had when you were in 8th grade who let you make the thing out of clay that you weren't supposed to make, a bomb. And you were like, it's a vase, but it has an evacuation route. It totally works in reverse too, Mrs. Teacher Man. I was never really sure how to approach art class in high school. I was always stuck in this weird moment of I want to express myself, but you're all gonna judge me. I feel that a lot of us get to relate with this on an everyday basis. It's kind of a sad fact about being a human, is that there's this certain point of I am who I am! Well, no, that's not cool. I figured that out in the high-speed lane on Rhode Island highways. There's this weird thing about going 85 miles an hour. 85 miles an hour is about that speed where you're just faster than everybody else except for the people who are speeding. And I've never really understood that. Why aren't you speeding? And if you aren't speeding, why are you going that fast? I've never gotten it. I've never understood this. I started out thinking about things in the speed of human communication when I did my first home economics class in 6th grade. We weren't assigned flour bags for the baby experiment. Some of you had flour bags, some of you had eggs, other of you had apps. The fuck? I don't understand how that works. I had a flour bag. And I had a flour bag with Mrs. Bailey. And Mrs. Bailey, she was the ex-wife of my vice principal. That's a really fun thing to be. If I was going to be a teacher, I would like to be the ex-whatever of the principal whatever. I really think that would make me in the proper position to have the proper influence on the people I wanted to. I don't want to have influence on the football players in middle school. I'm not into that. You already have it all figured out. I'm cool with that. And in high school, when those other people get to teach you that is incorrect.
Thank you.
I want to be the person who gets to go to vocational school and does not have to deal with any of you other motherfuckers. I figured out that speeding at 85 miles an hour on the highway, while not being too fast, but not being regularly fast, is kind of like being in the vocational program in any random high school in the Northeast region. You're not quite a high school student, but you're not advanced enough to not be a high school student. You're smart, but you're not that smart. So I drive at about 69 to 73 miles an hour on an average basis. I'm usually listening to NPR. NPR is a new thing to me. I've come to accept the fact that not everything needs to have a musical backing. It should, but it doesn't need it. Peter Siegel is so much funnier without musical background. Marsha, not so much. She lives in North Kingston. She does voiceover work on the side, but she's also the one who says the time when the guy that I don't know what his name is does the reports on RI-NPR. I've never really felt excluded, except while I was on the highway. I went to vocational school, as I just explained, but I never felt like I was excluded from anything else that had to do with high school. I got all of the high school experience inside of those 4 years, but that little piece of vocational school was like the NPR to my Pro FM. I got to have real information while everybody else got the gist of it. There's a news hour on NPR. Happens 3 times a day, at least during the waking hours. In the nighttime, it happens way more often. Get in your car, 88.7 tonight. shit's gonna be news. But in the afternoon, at about 10:45 in the morning until like 1:30 in the afternoon, they have the BBC NewsHour multiple times. It's the only moment that I really get to experience all of these fun things that I miss because I don't have cable anymore because my mom inundated that into my brain so heartily that if I ever fucking see CNN or Fox again, I'm gonna fucking scream. I don't care which side of any of those you're on, they're both too fucking extreme, and nobody should be watching any of them at all. One of them has a name that's like Katie Lang, but not Katie Lang, because she did that really good rendition of a Johnny Lang song back in the 90s. Also really confusing. But I wasn't confused by what I heard on NPR this morning. On NPR this morning, I heard a report about the fourth bombing in Austin, Texas. I'm gonna say the grossest thing that anybody on stage anywhere could ever say, but my thoughts and prayers are with those people. Because there's so much inside of me that I don't know how to express it. How else do I get it out there? If I have nothing else, it must be thoughts and prayers! I got a couple of feet though. They could probably walk if I wanted them to. If I really wanted to move on something, I could physically move from the space that I'm at. But really, what I have most inside of my gut is thoughts and fucking prayers! So as I drive down the highway at about 78 miles an hour, the thing that I say to the person passing me on the right with the license plate that says number 89, public, is, I have thoughts and prayers that you crash into that Jersey barrier, you son of a bitch. But then, the explosions that I actually want to think about are so different from the feeling that I get about the exploding car to my right that hit just in front of the state trooper's SUV that didn't see him speeding. Fuck you. I have thoughts and prayers stuck inside of my brain. The issue is that thoughts and prayers don't emanate outside of my brain. I don't get to portray those thoughts and prayers to you. It's just a bunch of fucking thoughts and prayers. All of the things that are inside of thoughts are here, and all of the things that are inside of prayers are here. And 75 miles an hour is really fucking comfortable to drive at. Your bearings are kind of out of whack, but at about 75 miles an hour, they start to straighten out from the speed wobble. At about 75 miles an hour, Soundgarden's fourth album is perfectly in time with the white lines in between you and the person next to you. At 75 miles an hour, the thoughts and prayers are rushing through my brain so fast that they're no longer thoughts and prayers, but th and pr. And then I really understand what we're talking about for just a moment. It's about an explosion. It's not the physical explosion that happened when the cardboard box filled with nails and gunpowder exploded and killed one of the most talented stand-up bassists in Texas. It was the kind of thoughts and nails that pierce your brain at 75 miles an hour when the white lines go by at the same BPM as the Soundgarden song you're listening to. It's the kind of thing that makes you want to reach out to a brother that you haven't talked to in a long time, but you know he's gonna listen as soon as you hit him up. Yeah. It's the same kind of 75 miles an hour as the blood pumping through my brain when somebody says, I don't like that response. It's the same kind of thing as when I get into my car for a lunch break and I'm really fucking excited that there's a $5 box at Taco Bell and I only have $6 in my pocket. It's 75 miles an hour while I'm sitting behind a desk in front of all of the people that I want to be yelling at, and they're all listening for just a half a second. It's the 75 miles an hour that make the speed wobble of an unbalanced rubber tire swerve to the left and hit a Jersey barrier, flipping over the SUV and killing everybody inside of it except the baby in the back. I realized that on one day in the past few weeks, there was too much snow on the ground for me to drive. But when I looked out of my window towards the city of Providence that I love, I saw flashing lights around 8:15. 8:15 is a significant time in our city.
Sure is.
There are literally hundreds of men and women that line themselves on the bay to flash their lights to the people who are not able to celebrate themselves, and those lights celebrate for them for just a moment. And even inside of the blizzard that we had just a few days ago, those lights flashed. And as I counted the time in between the red and the blue lights and the white lights flashing over and over again, I realized they're at about 75 miles an hour. If the light were to travel between me and them, they were traveling at about 75 miles an hour, but the space in between me and the people that they were impacting was milliseconds away. And so as I travel faster and faster down the highway on the way to the retail job that I really don't give a shit about anymore, all I understood was this was the pathway to the light that shone upon other people. And so every Monday night, I get to walk inside of a building that is brighter than any one that I have ever seen in my life before. And we're here tonight. Tonight is MadCap Monday. And we travel at over 75 miles an hour. We travel at the speed of love. And my thoughts and prayers are so much more powerful inside of me. Because there's so many more of you to feel those things. And there's so many more voices to voice those thoughts and prayers and make them actually something physical. And when I stand upon the insoles of my feet and I walk out into the streets of the city I love, the only thing that I understand is the thoughts and prayers I put out there and the feelings that you let me feel because of it.
Yes!
So thank you for going over the speed limit with me. Thank you for being a part of that. And thank you for taking those thoughts and prayers and making them into footsteps. Let's fucking do something. My name is Supe.